for the Aussie Gridiron Network. This is the Aussie NFL Fantasy Show.
I think I could give you about 26 guesses or something, and you may not pick the team.
I'm gonna say the Patriots.
It's definitely the Patriots, and it's definitely
All right, good. That was the one that I was going to pick.
Aussie?
It would be like you versus me one-on-one, mate. Can you imagine little 5'10" me trying to stop you in the paint? 100%.
Wilt Chamberlain against Muggsy Bogues.
NFL?
None of them are on my list.
Because your list is shit.
Tanks don't have hands. Great analysis.
Fantasy.
What's the worst could happen? You might get probed a bit.
Yeah. What's the worst that happened? You marry the alien queen.
Yeah, look, why not, eh?
This is the Aussie NFL Fantasy Show.
Especially when give me the probing is a plus. I mean, that's...
Where's the downside?
So much of this is going in drops, by the way. Australia's premier NFL fantasy football show is back after 7 weeks of the season. That's the halfway point. You're listening to the Aussie Gridiron Network, and this is the Aussie NFL Fantasy Show. And they call me Matty C, and with me is just a participant in Starts of the Week, a man who is currently riveted to the very bottom of that ladder, in fact, and feeling pretty defensive about it, I might say. It is Australia's third finest fantasy analyst. It is Taylor Goodall. How are you, mate?
Me, defensive. No idea what you're talking about. Look, mate, stick it up your date. It's week 8, baby. Let's go.
I love that you've been coming with something like that each week. The Devon one last week was mwah, chef's kiss.
My specialty. I have to bring the rhymes back. Well, we used to
we do
talked about the old rhyming days of the Astro League podcast. So we're like, let's pay some homage to some of the greats that we brought up back then.
I guess what we've done instead of rhymes, we've just given players nicknames, like the barbecued one and Conk, and like
the barbecued one.
Yeah, we've got harder on nicknames. We haven't really sort of stuck to the rhyme thing, but the nicknames have been great. The whole Cole Kmet thing. That's its own thing now.
It's its own song. I expect number 1 on Spotify is that Cole Kmet.
I was at some karaoke. I was away for a week in Melbourne recently, and I asked the guy behind the desk if he had the Cole Kmet song, and he kind of looked at me a bit funny,
Yeah, he looked at you funny because he was like, mate, we've already played that 8 times. I can't play it again.
He's probably right. So I had to settle for the voice by John Farnham. Not nearly as enigmatic.
Nah. People won't get as pumped for that.
No, they won't. Now, Day, we have continued to keep this door open for our third chair, and we've been bringing through just an absolute cacophony of great folks from the Aussie NFL fantasy community. And with us tonight is an old friend of the podcast, right? This poor sucker has joined us at least once every year since way back in our old Astro League podcast days. He's also a former champion of the Astro League and currently undefeated this year. It's Joel Wilson. Welcome in, mate.
Welcome.
Oh, hola, muchachos.
From Mexico.
Speaking about rhymes, 7th Heaven, Taylor, is what I was thinking. 7th Heaven, 7-0 in Astro League. So I was pretty happy with that one. But thanks for having me.
Mate, sing that tune. Sing it from the rooftops if you want. Tell everyone you're 7-0, mate. Go for it.
It's never happened before, and I doubt it'll happen again. But what's this, the 15th year of it, I think, Matty? So
it is.
Good things come to those who wait.
And I'm sure you won't jinx yourself by coming on here and talking about it either, mate. I'm
absolutely not. I'm not superstitious at all.
You will be
my lucky rabbit's foot.
You will be if it happens, but believe me, you'll change your mind.
I'm the most superstitious person in the world. If I'm having like a bet on something and my wife says something marginally wrong, like, oh, I like that color, I'm like, you've ruined everything.
But now you've changed everything.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, mate, you've got off to the most impeccable start. It's funny because in the days leading up, we actually sort of thought maybe stars were going to align to have 2 undefeated Astro League owners. But someone tripped over. Can anyone guess?
I heard he's handsome and got a massive hog.
Well, no, it's not me. It's you.
Oh, damn. Shit. Okay, not handsome then.
Yeah. There you go. Tay, you and I both put up stinkers this week, so it's not like I can really throw any spaghetti at you. But Mate, I sort of had your week last week where I threw up a shocker and just somehow managed to squeak the win. And the guy you played threw up 7 million points and is about to play Joel. So, no problems.
I walked into the Lamar buzzsaw in like 4 leagues today. It didn't feel great. I had the Astro League's champions as well that I ended up losing by like 7 points because I was against Lamar. And a couple of other leagues I was kind of already probably going to lose anyway, and it just basically added insult to injury. But yeah, it was to be honest, it was kind of good. Like, I was kind of glad I lost by like 50 instead of losing by like 10, because obviously having Evans go down, just missing that second touchdown and stuff, you kind of feel good knowing that it wouldn't have mattered anyway. So fucking Brendo putting up 140 odd, just happens and you move on.
In a league where 110 should win your week, he goes and throws up 140. How's your fantasy season running, Joel? Yeah, in a few leagues, and how are they travelling?
What are we in? 5, I think. 3 with you
Very
guys.
Good.
Going well. I'm actually leading this one, and then leading the keeper league, which is almost unheard of. And then I am getting absolutely demolished in one of the leagues with some other mates.
The circle of life.
Yeah. So it's just like brings you straight back to earth when you're 2 and 5, 2 and 4, 2 and 5, whatever I am in that one. So yeah, that's handy. And like, it's so funny because you kind of start drafting like similar teams, and it is a similar team, and somehow I fucked it. I don't know how, but like you make a trade here, and then you just sign someone here, and you drop the wrong person there, and then next minute,
sounds like a recipe.
Pick up scraps.
Sounds like a recipe card.
What's this trading you talk of? Can someone explain that to me?
Yeah. No, that's the only reason you don't know about it, Taylor, is that I usually try to avoid anything you send to me.
Same.
Funnily enough, you're not the only person who's come on and said that.
I think statistically speaking, and this is probably one for you, Matty, is like, I reckon Taylor has the best like trade to win ratio in history, because every time he makes a trade, it just always goes right.
Outside of when it's with Kenny, because he somehow, like, we've got this thing that if me and Kenny do a trade, one of us wins the league. And, like, I did that trade with him straight out of the draft last year, and it could not have ruined me anymore. And he literally carried all 3 of those guys all the way through. And like, Mostert was one of them, and he was the RB2. And I picked him in, like, the 9th round or something. Like, and
it was just a throwaway
trade package. I think I gave him a trade package for J.K. Dobbins, and he tore his ACL the week after.
That's right. I went
classic, right?
big on Dobbins last year and things as well. That was
same. This is his year.
Yeah.
So then this year, I'm like, nah, I've been on that.
And then he's
doing fine.
Yeah, except for today, which was the big reason as to why I ended up winning today, because he didn't have the greatest game, which was good for me.
It's fine. This is the thing, right? Like, no matter how good a player is, they will have their down weeks, and it's sort of nice to face that person's down week at a time you need it. So, this is the thing. When you're in enough leagues, though, you find it actually doesn't matter who has their good weeks when, because if somebody has a good week, you benefit from it somewhere, probably. I tell you, you're in 13 leagues this year?
Yep. 13.
And that's the case. Someone has a touchdown, and you go, well, that's good for me in that league. And these two.
Do you know what I was already starting to learn it probably last year, but I've really kind of done it this year. Like, what I used to do probably 2 years ago and somewhat early in the season last year is I used to actually write down who I was against in what league. And I actually decided this year that I'm not going to give a fuck about who I'm playing against, because it kind of does your head in, honestly, like trying to work out, I need this guy. I've got to like really fucking hit the middle here, or I need Breece Hall in this league to get at least 17, but I don't want him to get 25 because it'll ruin me in this league. And you start having to like really, really kind of get it right down the middle perfectly. Whereas I kind of got to a point where I was like, I kind of want to just focus on the guys I know I have. And like Joel brought up, I did try to emulate a lot of my teams similarly. Like I had a lot of guys I was in on in the preseason, and we talked about on the podcast, and I didn't try to like spread my team over and, get a whole bunch of different players. If there were guys I liked, I went for them in a lot of leagues. Like I know like Saquon, James Cook, Guys like that, Derrick Henry, like guys like that, I was just really high on in the preseason. I ended up in 5, sometimes 6 leagues. I just didn't care. Like I was like, I'm all in on these guys. If they fail, they fail, and that's it. But I really liked them. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to hope these guys go well because I know I've got a lot of them. And if it screws me in 1 or 2 out of the 13 leagues, then so be it. Like, at least I know if those guys are going well, I'm winning a majority of my leagues.
Yeah. It seems to be paying off for you too. Most weeks you say, well, I had a positive record again this week. How do you? Yeah,
that's what I like to take note of at the end. That's why I often send it in that group chat and everything. I go, all right, let's have a look at my 13 leagues. How did I go? Like 8 and 5, and you know, I've had a few 9 and 5 weeks this year, which I've been really, really happy with because, like I said, it's like when you're in 13 leagues, it's almost impossible you're going to win them all. So you know you're going to take some losses, but sometimes there's leagues you care about more than others, and then there's sometimes, like I brought up with you, in that I only had one league where I was 0-3, which I was pretty happy with out of 13. And I was like, this is the league I care about the most this week. And so, like, I made, like, 2 trades. I was so keen for it. And then, luckily enough, I won the next 3 in that league. So, like, sometimes some leagues take priority in certain moments of the year.
100%. Yeah. 100%. I can't imagine you being happy wearing an 0-3 team at any rate. But,
no,
sorry,
I like to
you were going to say, Tate?
Oh, I was just going to say, I even said to you, like, some people, if they're in multiple leagues, will be happy to be like 5-1 or 6-0 and have some shit ones so they can just forget about it. But I'm not like that. Like, if I'm in a league, I want to be competitive the whole way. So I would almost like gladly be like 4-3 in every like league I'm in, than have like a bunch of 6-0s and 0-6s and stuff like that. So that's just the way I've sort of always done it.
Does that mean Michael Jordan saying, and I took that personally?
I've sent memes like that 100 times.
Jolio, you're doing this great thing, mate. You're off to a great start with the Astro League, which is redraft. It's 16 teams. It's only a 4-man bench. It's half PPR. So there's lots of things to consider and a lot to go right, as well as just avoiding injuries. But then also in this 14-team keeper, which is almost all the same owners, you also have this perpetually good team in that league. What's the secret sauce to keeping those both spinning, man?
Stitch up Mark with good trades. I don't know why, but we're speaking before about Kenny and you, Taylor. I feel like I've had the same or similar luck with Mark. Every time I've traded him, I've had like a good run. I feel like that league from, I don't know how old that league is now. Would it be 7 years old?
It would be almost 10. I think we started that up in 2015. So this might be its 10th year.
There you go. So, I mean, that league, I think I remember I drafted like Adrian Peterson and like I went really heavy on a win now team. And then I don't understand how I've got a good team now, because I thought that I'd be just shit forever. But the last sort of, I don't know, pretty much I've been competitive every year in that league, which has been, which has been good. But I just remember drafting a bunch of old people thinking, I've got to win now, because everyone went like, I remember someone, I think it was like Derek Carr's rookie season maybe, someone was like, Derek Carr's going to be the next like superstar. It was like all these like, who was your Jags quarterback at that time? I feel like there was a rookie quarterback that came in at that time and everyone was like, I feel like at that time
might have been around the Gabbert era.
Could have been. But I reckon it was like era? Because it was the first keeper league that we'd all done, everyone went, let's get rookies. And I was like, okay, cool. I'll pick up this dude with like Larry Fitzgerald in the 3rd round or whatever. I'm just making that up. But
it was Matt Jones or something like that, who was was he at Washington or the Colts or something? I'm like, he's a good stash. No one remembers Matt Jones. I remember being so proud.
Yeah. You think you've done really, really well with it, and now we're like at the end of the season, you're dropping off, like you're dropping really good players because it's wild.
And we changed the rules in that a bit. It was originally 20 on a roster because it was only a 10-team league when it first started. So it was 20 on a roster and you kept half. So you could afford to take a flyer on the young guy, but now it's 14 teams, so it's expanded a lot and you're only keeping 7. So it means the 8th best player on your roster has to go. And no matter how good your depth is, they have to go back to the pool. So it is tough to maintain that loom all the time.
Yeah, in context, I dropped Tank Dell at the end of the last season, maybe. I think it was something like that.
Which wouldn't have been a popular decision, right? Because at that stage, everyone expected he was going to take the leap and Stephon Diggs moving wasn't a thing yet.
Yeah, but I just had that deep of a team that I had to. That's how lucky I was. But others not so much. Taylor, who did you inherit again?
Yeah, thanks. Shout out to Seahorse for fucking giving me a slap of shit. I keep saying I'm going to fucking send a flaming bag of turd to his house in Tassie, but yeah, basically just handed me over a team of just goobers. But and then on top of that, Tim fucked up the draft, and I was the first pick, and I ended up the last pick. So that was amazing. So
I was not going to bring that one up.
I'm like, how good's this keeper league? Like, at first league year I joined it, and I mean, you guys want to do you want to take over this team? Yeah, no worries, I'll have a crack. Anyway, I'm 4-3. I say to Matty every week, I'm like, I'm just like making this like my thing. I'm gonna like try and polish this turd into something and try and get it to like somewhere near the playoffs and see where I can go. So well, apparently the draft the next year is a fucking crapshoot where everyone is anyway. So why tank? Probably get the last pick.
Yeah, I think there's going to have to be some work on commissionership in that league. Joel and I have been talking about that after this year just gone. I think Timmy, with the second bar, might be having a battle.
Yeah. On that note, though, yeah, Codge only started 2 seasons ago and he inherited a dog shit pile too. And
similar team, yeah.
Like last year,
garbage.
So, I think it's one of those leagues that because you're not waiting for waivers, if you're across it, you can kind of pick up people. Which is pretty handy. So it's one of those leagues that I've definitely benefited from, where you go like midweek through, you sort of see some guy that's just put up 20. It's like, I'll just pick him up. Why not? And then you just run with it from there. But
yeah, it's great too that there's like in late week news, you can just get the guy as well. Or if someone's not going to play, you're not waiting for somebody else with a waiver priority to see if you'll get the play. You can just run in and grab. Like it's pretty handy like that.
Yeah, I mean, if anyone's out there listening and you need a wide receiver, then maybe go and pick up every single Bucks receiver because you might strike gold.
And it could be any of them.
Or 49ers or Bucks receiver, I should say. So.
Yeah, 49ers could be anyone as well, right? I think Jennings will be a hot pickup everywhere this week.
Yeah, but yeah, that's just another story, isn't it? The receivers. I saw the list. There was a list that went viral. It was just like all of these superstar guys and just everyone on IR. It's just crazy.
Yeah, and some of them, like, as we don't even know when some of them are back, like the consensus, probably number one running back, if not number one overall pick in redraft this year was Christian McCaffrey. Nobody had any idea that there was this injury that was going to be such a problem, and he hasn't played in the first 7 weeks. He's likely not to play till after their bye now, and I just can't imagine how many people that's hurt. But then when you add guys like Nakua and Cup, and then these 49ers receivers now, and just the list is actually quite extensive now of guys who are gone, and then it's and they're gone for at least a month, or some of them like Ayuk he's not coming back. Godwin today. No. We're recording this right after the Monday Night Football game that aired Tuesday Aussie time, so it's now Tuesday night. It's like, well, that's today, and Godwin's probably gone. We didn't get to replay that, and it's probably too early to get anything definitive on it. But if they're not replaying the injury, it's not a good one. So it really stretches depth a bit, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's sad. I mean, as a Niners fan, I definitely was against the whole Ayuk stuff. I was just like, just trade him, get what you can. And then we've paid him and this has happened, but you still can't help but feel bad for the guy. Like it's never what anyone wants. But yeah, like as I was saying in the pregame, the Jameis Winston impassioned speech about Deshaun Watson, he I maybe would have probably kept that out of the reporter's eyes because it's a little bit different. Pray for Ayuk, maybe not for Watson.
Well, Watson will probably find a supporter somewhere in the meantime. But I mean, you don't ever want to see somebody get hurt. But
no.
I feel much worse for Ayuk than I do maybe for Deshaun Watson.
Imagine the massages he'll get now.
Yeah, I was gonna say, he's got plenty of time off, so there's that. Hey, Tate, I don't know that you've prepared Joel for what he's about to endure because I certainly didn't talk to him about it in pre-show either.
Absolutely not.
Can you describe what's about to happen to him that he doesn't know about?
Yeah, it's going to be great. We definitely didn't tell him this was coming. Mate, so on all our episodes, anyone that's new hasn't come on to the podcast for this season, we've decided that we're actually going to do 5 questions from us two. And us ball bags, wankers, goobers, dick stains, different names we've called ourselves. But basically the whole idea of this segment is we've got 5 preset questions that we're going to ask you to let the listeners get to know who we're talking to. So, mate, good luck.
No worries. I'm glad I've got plenty of beer left.
You might need it.
5 questions, 2 tickets for the
find out pretty quickly. There's some that are much more direct about fantasy, and there's others that are much bigger life questions. Is that do your questions justice, Tay?
Yeah. Leaves you lots to ponder. Yeah, we get real deep here on the fantasy football podcast.
And when we started the segment up, it was like 5 questions. Okay, you'll hear the 5 questions, the ones I've got. You'll be like, yeah, well, this guy took that segment seriously.
Yep. And then I just wanted to
take 5 for Teller.
Yes. I wanted to do dumb shit. That's what I'm here for.
Yeah, 100%. But before we get into the dumb shit, I'm going to ask you one straight out of the gate. This is one that I think just sets the table and gives everyone a chance to get to know the real Joel. Mate, what's something about you that maybe isn't commonly known that the audience might find interesting?
Oh, are we talking just normal life related,
Yep,
or are we
absolutely.
talking about normal life related? What people may not know is my whole family is in horse racing. So my brother's jockeys, my cousins are horse traders, my grandfather was a jockey. I have lost a lot of money in betting in horses. So Spring Carnival, my nephew's a jockey as well, and he's doing really, really well. He's 20 years old and he's kicking goals, which is really cool. But Spring Carnival is pretty much like our Christmas and Super Bowl all in one. So this is my favorite time of the year. So that's pretty a big one that I don't really talk about it because it can be a little bit touchy in this day and age with people. But love the horse racing and love the horses. Yeah,
The time of the year, then, mate. Yeah, absolutely. Tay?
Yeah,
I was going to say it's awesome. My parents actually own about 7 harness racehorses, so
nice.
My family's just sort of always been involved in it. Like, you know, we were probably even more into it when I'm a Kiwi, for anyone to know, and I know this segment isn't about me, but talking about interesting stuff about me, but we were really into it back there, and then even since we've come over, for the first few years and stuff we're over here, we weren't as into it, but then mum and dad, as they're retiring, have got further back into it, so they've owned some horses and stuff, so it's cool. It's actually interesting to see that side of it instead of being the punter on the other side. So that's actually
for sure.
Cool.
Yeah, and it's sort of one of those things. I think when you know that side of it, it's like you can sort of see how much goes into it, and you can really appreciate it all. It's like obviously it's elite sports people, right? So if you know anyone that are we've got obviously Justin Giddo in our group, and he definitely knows. Obviously, he has a lot of elite sports people himself, but
he does.
You can sort of have that, and you have that sort of behind the curtain sort of stuff, and it's really, really cool and interesting to sort of get into. But yeah, I love it. So if I was only about 30 kilos, maybe give or take lighter, I might have been that way. But
I was about to say, at about the age of 3, I think I already couldn't be a jockey. I'd already jockeyed out weight-wise by then. So, yeah, unless you got a hippo I could run on, I don't think race it anything.
Yeah, no, it's love it. But that's like I said. So my little nephew, he's 20 years old. He's kicking goals. He's just moved back to Melbourne, so he's sort of travelled around. He's been based in Perth and Sydney recently, and now he's come back.
Wow.
But it's pretty wild to be 20 years old and already 4 years into his career. But
unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
All I can picture now is a horse with just a concave back from me sitting on it. That's just I'm sorry for people listening. Sorry for the horses out there in the world.
Yeah.
All right, mate.
Yes.
Fire away, mate.
Let's get into the good stuff. You know, look, it was great getting to know you, Joel, but this is the stuff that people really want to hear. All right, mate. Right. If you were in an apocalypse, would you rather be fighting aliens or zombies?
Aliens.
Okay.
Wow. Okay. Well, so this has been a really divisive issue. And I think the scoreboard is about aliens 8-6 now. But what's the driver? Why are you favouring the aliens?
They don't scare me as much as zombies. I fucking don't like scary movies. I'm such a sook when it comes to things jumping out. But I love I Am Legend and things like I actually do love watching them, but I'm a sook. And I just find that I am less scared when I'm watching alien movies than I am watching zombie movies. So that's pretty much my reasoning.
That's fair.
You can just go on the full offensive when it's aliens, where if it's zombies, you're cowering in a corner, hiding in a freezer, something like that.
And the zombie may have been a friend, right? Whereas the alien, I've not met this guy before. So.
We haven't had that that rationale before. That's really quite something.
It's interesting too because like the aliens are the full unknown side of it. It's like, and that's why the question is kind of interesting, right? Because it's like, do you like think about it as the aliens are this all powerful being and there's no way you could defeat them, and then that's why people will take zombies, or do you just see them as like, because it's unknown, they could be fucking nothing, like we talked about it, they could be fucking the alien from American Dad or Paul, like they could just be these like chunky pieces of shit that can barely move, like it's actually, it's really up to your own interpretation.
Exactly right. Whereas zombies pretty much always come across as zombies. Whereas aliens, Men in Black, you talk about the little dudes that used to smoke and be like, fuck you, I'll just kick you. Like,
kick the living shit out of those things. Be like whack-a-mole or whack-a-alien.
Yeah, so that's that one.
Okay. I mean, I can't fault the rationale. I mean, jeepers.
Oh,
Unless there's any aliens out there, then zombies.
Damn it, all these aliens are listening.
I mean, huge part of our audience, by the way. Huge part. I should have mentioned that.
Yeah, we're huge in Planet XO-Z.
27PX. Yeah, they love us out there. Yeah.
They're just sitting at home like, fuck yeah, we're going to shout out.
All Chiefs fans, they're loving it.
But they're like, let's go fuck Joel up because he doesn't.
That motherfucker. All right, so I'm going to bring this in, and you've mentioned this really briefly already, but you've got an NFL fandom. Do you want to just reiterate who it is, but how did you get into your team? How did you find them?
1999 Madden. Garrison Hurst was on the cover. The start of the curse, Garrison Hurst. But yeah, I was playing, like as we all pretty were, playing Madden and Nintendo and stuff before that, but didn't really soak it up very much. And funnily enough, I was a Broncos supporter, harking back to the horse thing because of horses. So I liked the Broncos, but then that year was, I don't know why, but maybe it had something to do with Steve Young, Jerry Rice, Terrell Owens, Garrison Hurst just killing everybody. But
more exciting.
Went on to that, and then I don't know why, but yeah, myself and Brendan BJ that he picked the Bucks for whatever reason. I can't remember why.
How drunk was he? I mean,
yeah, I mean, what were we, 12? But yeah, we just for some reason that's what we stuck with, and it's just sort of gone from there and went through the highs and the lows, the Jeff Garcias, the Alex Smiths, through to the Kaepernicks and so on. But stuck with them forever, and it's actually been good the last few years. But last year, specifically the Super Bowl, was the most brutal game of football I've ever been through. I reckon that was heartbreaking because it was definitely the one that got away. Like we're not going to be back there this year. I can't see that happening anytime soon. So that was the one that they needed to win, and somehow the Chiefs and the umpires had something else to say about it.
Oh, he went there. There. He's going after the Zebras.
Did you guys see that video that where the umpire rolled his ankle, and it was just like they had another Chiefs player out this week?
Yeah.
That was so fucking good. Yeah.
That's fantastic. Yeah, add him to the injury report.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you've got this long time affiliation with this team, but the trapdoor part is, when did you realise they suck?
Every year pretty much. I think the worst one was to the Chip Kelly. The Chip Kelly era was probably the worst because I went through the whole Alex Smith being maybe shit to Alex Smith being actually good era, and then we kind of like and then we started coming out of this like shit hole that we'd been in the last decade, and then all of a sudden they hired Chip Kelly, and then it was just like, all right, let's go back to the drawing board. That was probably where I was like, I might have to change teams here. I might have to change teams. And I was just like, because it was so bad, and then all of a sudden we hire Shanahan and everything's right in the world, but they're already calling for his head, which is fucking stupid. I think
he'll survive. He's fine. Every team out there wants a Shanahan who can win some big games and keep your team relevant. And my team is never in the pointy end, right? So I'd love to have a coach who can do that. And it's just teams who get close are then so fast to eat their own because they don't only one team can win the whole thing. But if you're in the Final Four and you keep getting to the Final Four, that's a bad. I've never understood that mentality, but that's the way fandom works, and that's the way these multi-billion-dollar franchises seem to work. And it befuddles me, completely befuddles me.
That's another quarterback I just remembered whose name, Tim Rattay. Does anyone remember Tim Rattay? Yeah, that's another guy that we lived through. Yeah,
he was a backup behind Eli Manning for a while too, I think.
Yeah, it might have gone from Sanford to there, but he was our starter for a bit, and then
holding his foot forward. A bit of Brian Hoyer, a bit of CJ Beathard, a bit of Nick Mullins, man, you've had some guys.
Yeah, there's been a lot of them. Beathard was obviously in college with Kittle, so I had high hopes for Beathard, and Kittle was the afterthought, and then it went the other way.
I think Kittle's been so good. I saw a really great, just a reel about Kittle just blowing people up on blocks and selling like a pass route when it's not a pass route, and just the way he jokes with his opposite player, and you can see how much he is just having the time of his life out there, and it's hard not to love that. So as much as it's well documented, I'm not a 49ers apologist in any way, shape or form, but I love Kittle.
He's just fun, yeah. And it's funny because a lot of people that are either fringe supporters, like as in just NFL supporters, or people that have never really got into it themselves, watched receiver, and I feel like nearly everyone came away going, Kittle's all right, the rest of them, a lot of people didn't like Jefferson and whatever else.
Every year he's gone on, he looks increasingly like he lives under a bridge, but he continues to enjoy his football. So, I can overlook that.
It was so good. I think, I don't know if I've spoken to you since, but I went there last year. It was when we just got married and stuff. So I went and watched it at Levi's, and it was ridiculous. And like Alex Smith, speaking of, and Jerry Rice, they were all in the stadium that day, and it was just all my dreams came true. I was 100%. It was nearly shedding tears and stuff like that. And then they did the America the Brave with the flag, and I was just standing up. It was
Australian. I'm really moved.
It was so good. And then that
would have been sick, though.
So I was happy. Yeah, no, it was really good.
Sounds like it was all your wet dreams coming true, really.
Yeah, in every part, it was coming out of everywhere,
and literally
leads perfectly.
and Matty C, sorry, I had to just cut in after what you said. Sorry, did you say you're not a 49ers apologist, mate? That is so surprising. I feel like the people listening are going to be amazed.
Well, you're going to let me away with that one?
No.
No, I've been having a really great season with 49er fans this year, Joel. I haven't gone very hard on you at all because you never give me any shit. So I've got no reason to go after you. But all the Brendan Longs and the Manjots and those guys, I have gone after them.
Forgot how many there actually are of you wakers in the group chat until we actually had you all on. It's been amazing. Yeah,
and a stream of 49er fans. Oh my god, Nick Cosme from G'day Gridiron a lot. Yeah, he did. They've all stayed.
Yeah, that's the problem.
All right, Joel. You know something great's coming out of my mouth here, and I expect something great to come out of yours when I ask this question. All right, mate. What would you put on your NFL Fantasy Tinder profile? Not the easiest of questions if you're not prepared.
And I've been joking about mine being something like handy with handcuffs or something like that, just a bit playful. We've had everything from, what was yours about CM Seaman, Taylor?
I don't know, mate. I got put on the spot as well, and I said something, is that white paint? No, that's CM Seaman.
I want to stick my cheese in your head. I don't think some of these guys are getting dates.
Yeah. But we're all going after very different ladies.
Yeah.
13 inches or something?
Oh, it's gold.
Well, I was not ready for that.
I love the football sex innuendo. It's just so good.
Just a layup.
I think this segment's really good for that question too, because you're just on the spot and you feel pressure to come up with something.
Yeah, I think I think they've got there. That's probably my one. 13 inches.
Is that what you give her my 13 inches, or did you just say 13 inches?
Yeah, just like that's just how like people put their height and stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
Joel Wilson,
yeah.
13 inches.
13 inches. It's just like what are you talking about? Well, find out the hard way, baby.
Yeah.
Why don't you come back to mine? We'll see if
There
we
might
get
be a
100%
four down there.
That's a turnover on downs, Tay. Right there.
Oh,
Yep.
great. This is why these are the great questions.
It is yet to disappoint. I mean, I generally think, too, that the spirit of which people hear that question and go, well, I better fucking impress and come up with something dazzling. And it has just been classic after classic. I'm really looking forward to, in the next couple of weeks, I'm just going to put together a nice reel that has all, like, we've had about 12 answers to this and just one after another of the guys who've come on, because it is so good.
Put on a shirt.
A whole bunch of them. All right, we'll wrap this one up with a serious football question because, again, I've had something people might find interesting about you, your favourite NFL team, and now I'm into fantasy where Taylor's been on bigger things. I told you there were going to be bigger things, did not disappoint. Fantasy is a completely different thing from the NFL, but we do sometimes find this one aligns a little bit. Who's your favourite NFL fantasy player of all time?
Oh, of all time, this is it's a tricky one because there's a few. So Michael Vick's the reason I won the league, so I have to have him there. But because I'm such a fucking 49ers nerd, Brandon Lloyd. Remember when he had that renaissance where he was the Broncos, and then he just was the number one receiver for the season, and then just retired. I don't know. I loved him at the Niners, and then I always thought he was good. He used to do those spectacular catches. If anyone's ever watched his highlight reel on YouTube, it's ridiculous. But yeah, I think those two guys from back then. But then if we go recent, I think the hard part about recent fantasy stuff is that you kind of outsmart yourself, don't you? You start to hate people for letting you down. And you just
yes,
and because in Taylor, you're probably with your 47 teams, you kind of can't lock in on one person because you get too many teams. So I'd probably, if Kittle's just been ultra consistent for the last few seasons, and I just continually pick him. So that's probably another one. But yeah, I guess if we go into my keeper league right now. Let's just do that. Yeah. Just say team my favorite.
You've had one title in that league, but you've been in the big dance a few times. You've been in the semi-final fucking every year. There's probably someone in that team that you owe a debt of gratitude to.
Yeah, and I'm looking at him right now. It's Alvin Kamara. I feel I was trying to go against the Niners person, and Kamara's got to be that person, I think.
Christmas Day.
He hasn't let me down, and I feel like every other person there, Kenneth Walker gets injured, Jefferson gets injured, Kittle, Dell, everybody else. Tyreek Hill, what the fuck's happening with him? Just give him the ball to rush or something.
Give him the ball.
But yeah, so overall, old school ones, Vic and then Brandon Lloyd, and then I'd go, Kamara, just as an overall. I think he's just been so good for so long now.
And so you hit it on the head. The 55-point Christmas Day game championship.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I did hit there.
That
mental.
Yeah. How do you deny that guy? It's where we've had Kamara come up, it's been because, someone's won a championship because of that. Or there's been the folks who've gone, Todd Gurley, because he had that season where he really dragged me along. And the recent ones generally have something to do with either a championship or... we had one last week where Deontay Johnson didn't win someone a championship. But it was such an incredible thing. He's like, I can't begrudge the guy. He still played a great game.
Yeah.
That was such a good reason. I needed one catch out of him in the last quarter and a half to beat Taylor in our first year of the dynasty, and he didn't get it. But I love him. I still love him. I would fucking hate that guy. He would be on my dartboard for the rest of my life.
I needed 18 and he gave me 17. Get fucked. Any other day, 17 is a good score, by the way. But that one time,
it was how he did it.
Yeah.
For the Aussie Gridiron Network, this is the Aussie NFL Fantasy Show.
I've been described as the best Goodall, and don't mean to foreskin, but we'll find out tonight.
I might have been a little bit aggressive with my response to that. I'm so sorry. I apologise.
Aussie?
If you were in an apocalypse, would you rather be fighting zombies or aliens?
That's such a fucking dumb question.
What a reaction.
NFL?
I don't know. It's just like, what does my answer prove, boys? What does my answer prove to you about me? Like,
Gets talking.
Fantasy.
Because that guy spent so long thinking about it, he realised that the way to survive the apocalypse is to marry the alien queen.
It's a pretty lame story, to be honest.
This is the Aussie NFL Fantasy Show.
Yeah. You know a game's on the line when Zombie Nation starts playing.
Oh, mate. Oh.
You've survived 5 questions. Well done. Well done. Stuck the landing, mate. The segment we look into next is one where it is not such a jump scare. Mate, we go through this every week, and we have a lot of fun with this segment too, because it's not about whether a player's a particularly unknown quantity and we're trying to help people with the starting lineup, more just to give people confidence about who we think is going to really blow the doors off it from week to week. And it is our breakout segment. Now, last week, we had Benny Jones come in, Tay, and he had a couple of nice calls. He wanted A.J. Brown to get 2 first-half touchdowns, and he got one of them.
Oh, that's right. That was hilarious.
It was in the second half, but he got half the touchdowns.
Because I just done a double touchdown guarantee on my running back, and I'm thinking I'm top shit, and he's just like, nah, A.J. Brown's going to go out there and score 2 in the first half. I was like, okay, mate. Way to make
I'm just trying to address you, mate.
Yeah, way to make mine look less than 3.5 inches.
Yeah. Fucking went after you, mate. But you know, the other one that he said, and this is just pertinent because of something that we can talk about later in the week, is he also pulled a Kate Otten, and that one came up trumps.
Right. Yep. Yeah, I know too well.
Yeah, I'll talk about that one later. The only one that I actually had that came up all right was Jordan Love. I've got him riding for 2 weeks, and he scored almost exactly half what I'm trying to get him to get. Yeah. So I had him for 50 combined points over 2 weeks between playing the Jags this coming week and the Texans last week. And he scored just about 20. And, mate, if there's a guy who has a 30-point game in a game, it'll be Jordan Love against the Jags. Otherwise, I sort of missed on Chuba Hubbard and Dobbins for 100-yard games each. I definitely missed on Kelsey, who only had 17 receiving yards. Fucking that guy. And only London got 1 touchdown. I didn't get the other touchdown out of McLaurin, but he did have 100 yards. So, I feel like the analysis was all right, just the touchdown wasn't there. Tay, walk us through yours, because I feel like you actually had a pretty good week.
I had the best week of the year by a mile. It was an absolute bumper week. I'll start at quarterback, which was today. It didn't feel like it was gonna get there for a while, so I took Baker. He was still only getting started in 49% of leagues, but I took him up against the Ravens because they were second last against the quarterback position. So I just wanted to make him my breakout player of the week, and I took him for 300 plus yards. So I didn't try to dictate where he was going to finish or touchdowns or anything. I took him for 300 plus yards, and he ended up getting there in the second half, like very late in the fourth quarter. So a bit of garbage time stuff for him, and end up a fair bit over 300. So that was a tick for me.
All those Otten yards, mate, right there.
Oh, exactly. 100% was. Obviously losing both. Obviously Goldman was late, but losing Evans, that obviously made it a bit harder for him, and he still got there.
He still got there.
Did pretty well. I just brought it up quickly on the side, but I took Kyron Williams as a double touchdown guarantee. I said he was guaranteed to score 2 touchdowns. And he did. God. He's been absolutely smashing it. I think he's got a touchdown 9 straight games or something, and it's last 17 games that he's played have just been insane. So just keeps chugging along. So I took him for 2 touchdowns. So I was pretty happy with that one as well.
Have you seen the list of guys who've scored touchdowns in at least, not rushing touchdowns in at least 9 straight games? It is LaDainian Tomlinson. That is pretty much the rest of the list. It's fucking absurd.
It's mental.
So, there you go.
Exactly.
But imagine what Corum could do.
Mate, shut up, Kev.
I love you, Kev.
I took Amon-Ra St. Brown, and I wanted to take him for a fair bit of points because obviously taking a high-end goal like that, it sounds a bit obvious, but I took him more for the matchup. The Vikings going into last week were last against wide receivers in fantasy because it's an absolute pass funnel. They're very similar to Detroit. They just defend the run really well. So the only way you can really get through them is by passing, and that's what they did. I took him for 20 plus points, and he got there. So I was pretty happy with that one as well.
Yeah, beauty. Comfortably too, like with room to run away. So nice call.
And last, I sort of brought up this guy who I think is going to be the tight end one on the rest of the season was Brock Bowers. Up against the Rams, who were second last against the tight end position. I did amend this. I had it down initially as 18 points and 8 receptions. I think I amended it to 20 odd. So I couldn't remember exactly what I did, but I knew it was around about. So he had 19.3 points and 10 receptions. So look, I'm going to count that as a win. So I thought in the tight end position, even though I'm taking a guy that's pretty high up there, to get 19.3 fantasy points out of a tight end, any tight end this year, I thought it was a win.
Yeah, I reckon so too. Like you said, sort of either 22, but you'd also said about like 10 and 100. So I'm like, look, either way, you were saying this guy was going to have a real buster, and he fucking well did. So, no dramas. Hats off.
Absolutely.
The brand new week. So, I cycle this around, and Joel, I'll give you a couple of positions that you get the first start at, but I'm going to give Taylor the quarterback to kick us off, just to give you a soft start into how we do it.
All righty. I'll be honest, Matty, I forgot about your 2-week thing. So I do have Jordan Love, but I'll do something a bit different. So I've taken him to have 4 touchdowns this week. So against the Jags, obviously last against quarterback. I just think he's in for a really, really good game this week. So yeah, you've got your sort of second weeks of 50+ points. We're kind of going to go hand in hand with this one because I'm going to say 4 touchdowns.
Okay, so you and I are on a unity ticket here. This makes this one pretty easy.
We go against each other in a lot, so why not go together?
We do. Oh my god, well, it is a sport. You and I going head to head just for shits and gigs. Sometimes, not even because we're really compassionate about it, or like we're really drilled on it. Sometimes it's just because I'm like, well, if you've got that call, I just think you're fucking wrong. So it's nice when we're simpatico occasionally.
Yeah, it's like Codge against Joel. Just like, I hope you lose.
100%. Yeah. I hope someone kicks you in the nuts on the way down too, motherfucker. That's pretty much how we roll.
Kicks you in the 3-incher.
Yeah, nice shot. So then, of course, and I've got my Jordan Love. He needs to score 31.2 or more this week to get my 50+ over 2 weeks. All right, Joel, let's throw you into the fire. Who's the quarterback you like a look of this week here in week 8?
Well, I feel like the bye weeks that have come and gone and have thrown me out and probably thrown everybody else out to think that Caleb Williams has just disappeared. He was just like hitting his straps before the bye, and I do think that he's just finally working out how to be an NFL quarterback. Those first few weeks he was obviously trying to work it out in such a shit team, and he's down just like lifting. And I think he's sort of forgotten. Like I noticed, I think the week before the bye he put up that crazy number, and pretty much nearly everyone in every league I had him in was benching him. Like I don't think he started in any league that was in. Everyone was just shaky about him. So I do think that he's just one of those players that he's now proving how good he is. So you don't bench him for the rest of the season. He's back from the bye and he's learning what it's all about. And then the other one, I don't know if I'm allowed to say too, but everyone forgot Sam Darnold was killing it. For the start of this season, and they just played a really good Detroit Lions. So I wouldn't hold that against him. Yeah,
and what's funny too is that so he had that tough game over in London right before they went on that bye, and they come back from the bye and immediately have to play a tough Detroit team where he didn't embarrass himself. He still played pretty well in fantasy terms. Like we're talking about points. It doesn't matter how you look on the field. It's about points.
Correct. That's what I'm talking about, fantasy.
Points.
Yeah.
So
yeah. And I feel like it's been hard this season with quarterbacks, like to get. It's been so sporadic. So all you kind of want is someone to score you 15 to 20 points in whatever league you're in. 15 to 20
easy.
Points. If you can get that, like that is it, consistency, and that's what he's doing.
Yeah, 200 and 2 touchdowns. Well, I feel like he's probably good for that pretty well every week. So this is kind of why I like him, and no one will have the confidence to start him every week unless they've hit an injury and a dire. But I do feel like he will have that odd stinker like he did against Jets. But like that's just kind of part of the Sam Darnold experience, right? Like
yeah, well. This is the guy that's 7-0 with Patrick Mahomes at the moment. If anyone wants to look at his stats,
Just a quick trade maybe for the Darnold owner for Mahomes. Is that
exactly right.
Yeah, I think the Mahomes owner, the Darnold owner is getting fleeced there. I think Darnold's looking better than Mahomes at the moment.
100%.
Imagine being the Darnold owner, having someone come to you with, mate, I'll trade you for Mahomes, and you being like, fuck off.
I will fucking end you.
Trade.
This is what I love about fantasy. What a strange thing to say, but everyone would agree.
Yeah.
So we've got Jordan Love with 4 touchdowns. I needed him to score 31 points, and then don't forget about Caleb Williams and Sam Darnold. They're looking pretty good. With a running back, Joel, do you have someone you got a bit of conviction with a Week 8 matchup?
Kenneth Walker.
Yes,
a good one.
He was actually out-snapped, I think, by Charbonnet the other day, and sounded like he was half on a deathbed and still put up like solid numbers. And now he comes back into a better matchup and healthy, hopefully, against the Bills, who, it's likely to be a high-scoring game, but they're just going to feed him. If he's healthy, I think he puts up big scores.
So, what do you say?
What's great for him is, he's got an awesome matchup this week, but he's been utilised in the passing game way more this year. And he was one that initially in the preseason, I brought up he was one that I was worried about with you, Matty, because if they used him the same way that the boys used him, that offensive line wasn't going to sustain him. Like if he was only used as a between the tackles runner, I didn't like his chances this year of bringing back the fantasy value, but the new coaching regime has used him as a pass catcher way more, and it's made a difference because the O-line doesn't matter as much when you're out on the side, catching balls, and it's just given him a way bigger baseline in fantasy, and he doesn't have to have these enormous plays. Like, don't get me wrong, he does have them anyway. He doesn't have to. Whereas like last year and the year before, it was like he either breaks away a 75-yard run or he shit. Yeah, it was like nothing in between, or he got injured, obviously, like Joel said before. Like it was, at least now he's got a baseline every single week. So I think he's like easily an every week starter, but like he's a chance of being top 5 every week.
Yeah, 1,000%. And he's always a chance of 2 touchdowns, which is just like, phenomenal.
Undisputed goal line back. Undisputed. Yep. There's no one's taking him off the field and put Charbonnet in when you're on the goal.
No.
That's all his. Does it pain you at all to put a Seahawk forward as a 49er fan?
Very much so, yes. But when he's in my fantasy team, it makes it easier.
I see there was a little bit of anguish in the eyes. The face was selling it, but the eyes, they gave it away, mate.
I definitely do still feel the 2012, 2013 seasons when they were killing us. But he's a freak. You can't hold that against him, and we're pretty lucky in the NFC West that they've got Geno as their quarterback. Otherwise, they're going to be still beating us.
Hey, where are you going at running back, mate?
On someone that not like over half the people that own this guy wouldn't have started him last week. He was when he played on Thursday Night Football. There was so much chatter about how like people didn't start him, they benched him. I know I did in one of my dynasty leagues. Javonte Williams. I just thought he looked amazing last week, and this matchup is unbelievable against the Panthers. Playing this team, like it's last perennially against the running back position. So, I just think he's in for another awesome game. Like you had those worries about, them sort of using McLaughlin and Estime, and look, they'll sort of sprinkle those guys in. But 100%. In this matchup where they're probably just going to lead early and just keep running the ball, I just think he's going to get enough of it, have a really, really big game. And I've taken him for 100+ yards in this game. Yeah, so
I like that. Go on the yard number.
Just thought stuff it instead of like trying to take on the touchdowns or anything like that. I'm going to just take on that he's going to have a big yardage performance in this one.
I reckon this is one of those ones where I say this every week, so it should be a drinking game, but I'm pretty sure that Carolina can't defend my undersized 11-year-old with the ball. So I absolutely endorse anybody saying the reason they want to start a person is because they're against Carolina. I don't even care their position. Kicker. I'd endorse kicker against Carolina because you're going to be scoring often. So, anyone against Carolina sounds good to me. I think you'll probably say the same thing about Cleveland when I say that I reckon Derrick Henry will just continue to roll. 150 plus yards is my call for him against this Cleveland defense that can't do anything anymore. They've got a couple of pass rushes, and that's it. All it does is makes the passer pass faster into the secondary, but you don't even need to do that when you're in the lead. And we've seen both Lamar and Derrick Henry will continue to score points, so I don't even feel bad about it. Derrick Henry today, well, somebody mentioned the Lamar Jackson buzzsaw. It did not slow Derrick Henry down. He still ended up with almost 30 points in PPR. So, mate, I'm just going to throw myself on the Derrick Henry train and embrace that. While I was higher than consensus on him, I was not as high as Taylor, but I'm still in on the king.
Yeah. Yeah, we got that touchdown water bet that is definitely going my way so far.
What's he got, like 10? Has he got 10?
I feel like there's games where he's going to go over 11 and a half touchdowns in one game.
Yeah.
That's how it feels.
And he's on track for 2,000 yards as well, isn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, and about 25 touchdowns. Like he's it's a problem. The week he passes 11 and a half, I'm just going to pay the water bet off on the day. I'm just going to do it. I don't want that to be one where you pour all the water on me later. I'm just going to stand in my driveway and pour water on my head. Okay?
That's fine. It's funny. A lot of our water bets seem like they're kind of over quickly. Like there's ones we just know. Like a couple of them are sort of still in the middle, but like the Kamara top 12, that one's probably over. And the one where I've got Jaden Reed and Tank Dell, and they both have to be outside the top 35 or whatever. That's probably over because even though Jaden Reed was shit this week, I can't imagine him being bad enough to fall out of the top 30.
He would need to die. He would actually need to die.
Yeah, but there's a couple extra ones like the Kirk Cousins ones.
I'm feeling good about that one.
So a massive game 2 weeks ago, and then he's been quiet the last two. But that might it'd be hilarious if we're like the only water bet we're sitting there clamoring over is Kirk Cousins.
Just the lettuce sandwich.
It was the most nonchalant water bet with like no conviction at all. But we're like, let's chuck it a Kirk Cousins water bet.
Yeah, and I think because I had him at like 10 and you had him at like 18, I'm like, we can turn this into something.
Yeah.
So, wide receivers, I'm going to throw to you first, Tay. Wide receiver?
Yep. I'm going to take a shot at a guy returning. So I'm going to take my boy Cooper Kupp against the Vikings, who were second last against wide receiver. I feel like he was ready to go this week, and they looked at Thursday Night Football and said, "Why would we risk him now? We can just sort of take the shot against the Raiders that will win anyway, and then we'll give him those extra 4 or 5 days to get ready for this game." So I feel like he's pumped. The matchup's great. They're not going. I mean, I say they're not going to be able to run. Kyron's been like amazing against basically anyone this year, so he'll probably get it done enough. But I still feel like in general, is like Stafford's going to need to move the ball. Like obviously the Rams' defense isn't great, so the Vikings will probably move the ball pretty easily. So they're going to need to score points. So I just think Cooper Kupp's set up for success in this one. I've got him for 10 plus receptions.
Oh, 10 catches first week back.
Yep.
Beats the shit out of passing to fuckers like Whittington and people we've never heard of before, though. So I guess that's every week he finds a new guy. I'm like, I need a program. Who is that?
I have Stafford now in Astro, and it was just like I was really praying the Cup was back, and then when he wasn't, it was like, do I stick with Stafford or do I go to Andy Dalton? And somehow, like Andy Dalton was the only person that scored less than Stafford. It was like my options. I was screwed either way. Like it didn't matter. So I'm like, at least I stuck with Stafford, knowing that Cup's coming back, and things could get better for them. Obviously, Nakua's not far away either, so at least I've got the guy that has upside moving forward.
Yeah, trending in the right direction. Yeah, Joel, have you got a wide receiver for us?
Taylor just stole him, but
what do you like about him?
No, I actually had a rebuttal because the guy on the other side of the field, Justin Jefferson, might have something to say about it. I think they were probably my 2 picks, and just to touch on Kupp, just because historically speaking, I've owned him in a few leagues, and he always comes back first game and kills it.
Blows it out of the water, doesn't he?
I don't know why, but it's just he's always his first game back. It's like everyone forgets that he's on the field, and then he just has some monster game. But
the white guy who looks like he's run out in his dad's gear, and be like, don't need to mark him. And there's like, it's fucking Cooper Kupp. Whoops.
Yeah, exactly right.
The motherfuckers forgot about Cooper.
And I think that Jefferson, being on the other side, elite players. They just turn up when they're against other elite players, and I just think that to me is the market, the game of the week in terms of position against position. I love that. I think I love when you see those just two great teams going against, or great players against each other, whether it's quarterback, whether it's running backs. It's like they go back out and they go, fuck, I've got to prove this guy wrong. I'm the better one. And it's always just, it's a third in inches measuring contest, isn't it?
Well, we've got our show title.
Yeah. Yeah. That's set in stone now. I looked at the running back position too, Tay, and thought I'd liked a bit of Javonte, but then I went, you know what? You can do everything to Carolina. And it's not going to surprise you that my husband's coming up in this segment, that even though he got donuts last week, I think this is a week where you could start Cortland Sutton and feel pretty good about it.
He's back. He's got to make an appearance at every segment somehow.
Every week he does something. He didn't even get a target last week, so this is fucking bold, right? Because how fast do you want to bench this fucker for not even getting not even a target? But I'm going back to the well because I feel like he's not every week, but there are weeks where he can do it, and he's pretty much just beaten up on bad teams. When he's had his decent days, have been against teams that allow fantasy points to wide receivers. This is definitely one of those. So I'm just playing the matchup game.
Yep, that's fair enough.
Nice.
Like, anyone beats the shit out of Carolina. We've already talked about that.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to give him a 15-point line because I feel like you got to make it tangible, and that's what I'm saying. Like he dragged up a 15 2 weeks ago when he was against another bad defense against a pass. He got their only touchdown, passing touchdown. He drags it in. It's most of his points, but I think that is a lot of his role. Catch you a few balls, and then he'll probably get the receiving touchdown. So that's my conviction on Cortland Sutton this week, and everywhere I've got him, you'll see me start him, even though I also started him this week and got zeros. I'm back in the flames with him. Hey, Joel, tight end is such a flaming dumpster fire of shit that I don't let Taylor have the first one each week on purpose. I like our guests to get the chance to go rummaging through that bag of turds to see if there's a nugget that's edible. Have you got a tight end?
Well,
it's okay if you don't. I would totally get it.
I was going to say, yeah, well, the easiest thing for me is I just say George Kittle, and then I can just pass after that because that's easy. But he's actually a little bit banged up, so I did go a little bit rogue on this, and last week picked up Njoku at the Browns, and I was right. But I still lost that league, but I was right. I knew it was coming. So yeah, I do think that he has to be one to follow, right? Like he's a proven receiver. If he stays healthy, they'll just keep throwing it to him. He's realistically, I feel like that's probably the pickup because I feel like he's pretty available. I'd assume. I haven't actually had a look at that, but I'd assume that he's pretty available on most waiver wires because he's been out in the shadows, and the Browns are absolute brown shit, and that's I think that's he's the one. If you're trying to find one that's not a Bowers or a Kittle, I think he's who I'd be picking up.
Actually, probably a really helpful thing too, because I think to your point, he's probably available.
Yeah.
It's not like you got to go and find him off somebody and send somebody. Like you can probably go get him.
79% owned. 54% started.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. So it's probably bumped up on that starting. I don't know, maybe.
It has, for sure.
Yeah, but I feel like,
right.
he's probably going to be good, like, for anywhere for that 5 to 10 targets. And then most likely a red zone target. So, yeah, I mean, if he gets 5 targets, even if it's 50 yards and a touchdown, there's your 10 that you want, like, at least out of your tight end that you want. You want that 10 to 15 out of a tight end every
if you get 15 out of a tight end, oh my God!
Exactly right.
A guy that you just found.
10 solid, that's awesome. Yeah, and I feel like he's a 10 every week, especially with the situation that he's in.
Do you think not having Deshaun Watson there will actually help him?
Yes,
absolutely.
Yeah.
I do too.
I feel like I could definitely get out there and have a crack if they need me.
Winston will be better, but DTR still seems to have a tendency to go to him too. Like even before Flacco came,
I don't think it matters.
DTR was there, and Njoku was actually still pretty good. So like it's just that's the theme. Anyone but Watson is good. Like just I'm with you. Like it's kind of like the Bowers thing, right? It's like, yes, Bowers probably won't have a lot of touchdowns this year, but when he's like the one on the team, like the absolute bona fide one, that's
Correct.
what makes a massive difference. It's like it gives you a baseline of volume straight away. Like, so even if Cleveland aren't an amazing offense, if he's getting, like you said, anywhere between 5 and 10 catches every single week, you don't need the touchdown. It's like in a full PPR league, you're getting 10 plus points every single week. Like, you love it. So, I agree with you. It's like the one good thing I inherited off fucking Seahorses team in that keeper league is I just sort of sat and Joker on the bench most this year and played other goobers there. But now that he's back,
what a horrible thing to say. It's
back
probably
in
the
his
one
life.
good thing I got. The barbecued one was the one good thing you got.
Yeah, I'm ready to roll. He left me Rasheed Rice too, and we all know how that fucking worked out.
Thanks for that. Yeah.
Now he's got a guy that I've got to sit there and hold in a keeper league with no IR spot. Brilliant.
Sensational. Sensational. On short bench. It's
Just
like
like a
six
bunch
bench.
of grenades for you.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Sorry, hey, Tay, who's your TE?
All right, so I stacked that bitch up with Jordan Love and went Tucker Kraft. Against the Jags, like I said, the Jags defense is pretty much shit everywhere. It's kind of like Carolina in a way. They're 27th there against tight end after Hunter Henry fucking took them apart last week.
Took it from 19 to 27th in one afternoon.
Exactly. It doesn't take much in tight end, but yeah, like I said, what I've done with him, I've given him a TD guarantee. Chuck that in there. But I'm also saying he's going to be top 4.
Top 4 with the touchdown guarantee. My gosh, how many hurdles do you need this guy to climb? This is like a multi for one player.
Yeah, he's just utilised enough. You know what I mean? Like what we
Drake May's really gone to him. Yeah,
it's like that Rams. Like I think it's going to be one of those ones who just does sort of take on the good matchups. The only one issue I will say about like me stacking that bitch up on against the Jags is they are also obviously terrible against the run. And if Josh Jacobs dominates on the ground, they're up 21-0. That might be the only thing is that they just can't. Like, there's no reason to pass anymore. But in the end, you just got to take the matchups when they're there. And, you know, if that happens, that happens. But I just think Tucker Kraft, he looked great against the Rams a couple of weeks ago. Kind of had an off game after, but then he came, back with a touchdown last week. I just think he's in a good situation.
Mate, we are not puss against the run. Did you see the way we shut down that Patriots running game? Oh, my God. Wash your fucking mouth out.
Ramondre and Gibson, just the most feared two-headed monster out there.
Yeah, not Gibbs' son, Gibb none. Yeah. Not against my stout defense in the middle. Yeah. No, I get it. Like, there's very few ways you can't attack the Jags. And, just because the Patriots have a dick running game doesn't mean we've actually got a good rushing defense. It just means that when you face one of the least potent ones, you could start any position against us. And I do think that's the thing, right? We're soft in the middle. We're also soft on the outside, but in the middle, definitely. And Tucker Kraft, mate, there is a massive chance I might start a tight end, Ingram, and then also tight end in flex, Tucker Kraft in Astros.
Why not, eh?
Oh my! I've never done it before, and there is a massive chance it's going to be my first time starting 2 tight ends. I have gone with a very little known opportunity here, just because I think Tua's back, but even with Tua back, I'm gonna give Jonu a run because he's been getting a target share for goodness sake.
He has, hasn't he? Yeah.
Jonu, I'm putting a 12-point line on him because what if he gets a touchdown? That's all I'm thinking is what if he gets a touchdown there against Arizona at home? So West Coast team traveling east in the early time zone, and they've just come off the Monday Night Football. So I'm leaning on a couple of things that are, kind of, I don't know, maybe a bit cliche, but give me some Jonu.
Did Will Dissly have like a career game against them today? It was freaking hilarious.
It's a feel good story.
Fucking big Montana.
He's out there. All right, so just going to do the quick recap here. We've got Jordan Love with either 4 touchdowns or 31.2 points, or both. 4K no lows dose against the Jags this week. But do not forget, Caleb Williams and Sam Darnold are worthwhile players out there, and we expect good things out of both of them this week. Kenneth Walker, don't forget his passing volume, but he is absolutely undisputed in the red zone.
Two touchdowns.
Rams.
Ooh,
But 2 touchdowns for Kenneth Walker. Bring the fucking bell. 2 touchdown guarantee. Javonte Williams to run against that defense, the Carolina Panthers, who cannot stop anything. 100 yards for Javonte Williams. Derrick Henry, 150 plus yards against Cleveland. A wide receiver, we've got 2 people who believe in Cooper Kupp. but one of them also believes in Justin Jefferson in the same matchup. 10 catches for Cup, but we're also saying we just think that Jefferson will give him some 13 inches. They'll get them out and they'll be measuring against each other. So I assume we'll get 10 catches for Jefferson too. Matty C with the Cortland Sutton love. We don't know to explain that. That's just something sick he's got going on, and he doesn't feel like he needs to explain again. George Kittle, no, it's Njoku without Watson. We think he's the guy for our 49ers fan. 5, maybe 10 targets, but we think good for 10 to 15 points. Tucker Kraft against Jags, who are 27th against tight end. Give him a touchdown guarantee, but also give him a top 4 finish. Oh, my God. And then Jonnu Smith against Arizona for 12 points. If that doesn't help people, I don't know what will. Fellas, I'm really, really impressed with that. Well done.
Yeah, we're hitting them all.
I feel like I've had a stroke after that.
Takes a while to recap it all.
Some of it's the Jonnu Smith thing. I think I'm still a bit drunk from suggesting Jonnu Smith.
Yeah, I thought I was the only one drinking beers here.
I swear Jonnu I swear Tyreek jumped into Jonnu's jersey. Like, I was looking at the bloody stats, and I was like, how the fuck has Jonnu just got like 100% target share of this team?
I know. So even with Tua back, I don't know. Tua's work, like Johnny's worked himself in a role. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, that's all you need in tight end.
Wait, we've got through our 5 questions, and Joel has survived that. We've now just done a whole bunch of breakouts. It is one of my very favourite times a week because we get to drag out the longest surviving drop on this podcast. Taylor Talk time.
TALOR. Taylor Talk time. Hot Diggity Dog.
Good to be back, Matty, and I'm coming in off a pretty good week as well. Obviously, I had the good week in breakouts, but yeah,
oh my God, you did.
Hit these one out of the park. Hit these ones out of the park, mate. So basically, the only one I got wrong technically was because the guy went out with an illness like halfway through the game. So I'll touch on that in a sec, but yeah, had a really, really good week.
What do you do about that too? There's not a lot you can do about that. I like to think what made that player sick was the Jags' sick secondary.
And the segment's over.
Yes, whenever.
That's it. Contagious, mate. Contagious. But, mate, you actually went out on a limb here and did something really super interesting. But do you want to kick off with the player who didn't meet that 3-pack?
Yeah, so I took Alexander Madison. My name is Alexander Madison. Against the Rams, who are 25th against the running back position. 30% started. So not a lot of conviction out there for Alexander Madison. And in the end, Zamir White actually came back. So
weird.
That was interesting because we weren't exactly sure how that was going to sort of pan out. But I just thought Madison had done enough. I thought he'd sort of taken over the backfield anyway. And it was true. He had 23 carries in this game.
23!
15.3 fantasy points for running back 19. So in this segment, picking out guys that are under 50% started, I was very, very happy with that one.
Taylor nailed.
You touched on the 3-pack that I did. So
here we go.
I decided to take basically one of the worst offenses in the league, if not the worst. And I took 3 of the guys from the exact same team. So I basically was trying to take on that Jags defense. I took Drake May against the Jags, who were last against the quarterback's position. He was 4% started at the time.
Yeah.
He put up a 20.8 for quarterback 6. So I was very, very happy with that one.
Taylor nailed.
I took Hunter Henry at tight end. The Jags at that stage were 19th against tight end. He was only 10% started. He just pumped out a 17.2.
Taylor nailed.
Which, to be honest, I was surprised that was only tight end 6. I feel like there's been weeks that's tight end 1. But there was actually 5 guys that went in front of him. It was a big tight end week, apparently. But look, again, picking guys well under 50% started, I was absolutely stoked with that. That was well more than I would have considered a pass mark. So the only one really out of the guys that got wrong, I took Pop Douglas against the Jags, who was second last against wide receiver. He was only 3% started. He ended up with 3.4 points, but like I said, he went out around half time with the illness. So, there wasn't much I could do about it. Like, I felt like the second half would have been where he could have done a bit of work too, obviously, with them sort of coming behind and being some passing yards in that late second half. But in the end, to get 3 out of 4, I was very, very happy with that.
Mate, you're sick, you're sick. If you had to choose on a calendar today all the days you want to be sick for the rest of the year, it's a stupid exercise. So, hopefully he's just feeling better.
Yep. seemed to have a few players. So obviously, there was Debo and Monia. There was a few guys that sort of had, that were down with the sickness. So it was just one of those things. But anyway, obviously, you can't predict it, and we move on.
Yeah, not so. So with all that in mind, you've got like 3 dings for Taylor nailed in there, which I think is fair. No, there is no Taylor failed. I'm not giving you Taylor failed for Pop Douglas. That seems shit. So we'll just call that one a push. But where are you headed this week?
Yeah, so I'll try and get through this pretty quickly like I normally do. But, obviously trying to get guys that are, not widely started out there. So quarterback, I wanted to take a guy that's, got a very good matchup. He's only being 7% started at the moment. It's Bo Nix up against the Panthers because, again, we've just talked about it. The Panthers suck everywhere. And 27th actually seems like a little high. I just feel like the only reason that they're probably not lower is because they probably are getting belted in most of their games and the quarterback doesn't have to do anything in the second half. But my hope here is if that happens, Bo Nix gets enough done in the first half. Obviously, there's always a chance that, could go to the running backs and stuff like that. But I just thought Bo Nix looked a lot better last week. It wasn't a great fantasy output for him, but obviously to sort of take down the Saints squad comfortably, he moved the ball well enough. He had a couple of throws. He had that laughable one where it went in between 2 receivers, which was pretty hilarious. But look, in the end, I just think this is the kind of get-right game for a rookie like this. I just think he's going to be able to do anything he wants in this game. He's going to be able to run the ball, which I think is going to be huge for his fantasy. Like he had 75 yards, I think, on the ground last week, which is just an amazing baseline. So if he does anything like that this week, chuck a touchdown or 2 on top of that, then we're laughing. It's easily enough for this segment.
100%, right? And this is the benefit too, is he does so much with his legs now in a way that's it's almost like as soon as the read's not there, just leg it. But and keeping the offense simple for him. And I don't know, it's not attractive football to watch, but it's fantasy points. So that's what we're here for. I don't care if it's attractive; it scores points. So this is what I like about the segment is it really teases the points out of the football.
Absolutely. All right, I want to take a shot here, and I think of like the Undertaker meme when I think of basically everyone from this team. So I want to take a shot on a guy who's basically just been dead and buried because his quarterback's been out. And now with him returning this week, I'm going to take Raheem Mostert against the Cardinals, who are 21st against the running back position. He's only 33% started because obviously it's just been a bag of horse shit since Tua hasn't been there. I just think with him coming back, it just changes the entire offense. Obviously, Tua's amazing for the pass catches, but it just changes the offense completely. If they can actually move the ball with him back, it's not without risk. Don't get me wrong. Like obviously Tua, we know his risk with his health, but it's, him coming back first game. There's no guarantee he hits the ground running, but I just think if he can open this offense a bit up, if there's more red zone opportunities, if it's just moving a lot better, I just think a guy like Mostert's going to feed off the back of that. Obviously, he's going to sort of deal with Achane and stuff like that, but I just think you saw last year was running back 2 on the entire season. So you got a guy he's getting started in 33% of leagues. I think if you've got him and you've been benching him, this is the kind of guy. Look, there are guys you put in front of him still. I'm not saying to play him over everyone, but I just think you're going to get a far better game out of him this week.
I reckon Jolio will know this better than anyone too, having had the tenure at the 49ers, is that he doesn't need a lot to get you a lot, and he doesn't need a lot of plays to score you a lot. So I imagine
he's just one of those players. He doesn't do anything great, but he just does it. Like he just always finds the hole, or he finds this, and he's just sort of one of those, like if he's on your team, you love him, and if he's not, you absolutely fucking hate him.
Always finding a hole. Sounded like a Tinder profile again.
Yeah. I'm just adding to my list.
I remember to go back and get it for a drop.
I'm still answering the question that you asked me. Just like throwing it in.
Just adding bullet points to my Tinder profile.
Yeah,
I think you've done some damage with that question, Tay. It's plaguing him.
He'll be thinking about it later. Yep. And now. Yeah. All right. Next one. This is actually a guy I sort of brought up and took him in another segment last week, but I just wanted to touch base. I really liked his target share. So Romeo Dobbs, I got up against the Jags, who are 29th against wide receiver. He's still only getting 29. Started by 29% of fantasy players. He got 10 targets in that game. He actually out-targeted Jaden Reed, who was the perceived wide receiver 1, 10-4. So I just felt like that was very noteworthy. I'm not guaranteeing that keeps happening, but I just think Dobbs has clearly got a relationship with Love. Like, it's always kind of felt like he's been his favourite receiver. Whether that has always like worked out in terms of him passing to him a lot hasn't always worked out. But I don't know. There just seems to be some kind of rapport. You know, Dobbs had the dummy spit, and everything seems to have gone pretty well since then. And obviously against the Jags, 29th against receiver. You know, I just think there's an opportunity here. Jordan Love's slinging it. He's looking great. So, yeah, I just think he can fire up Dobbs here with confidence.
Yeah, isn't it fun how the Packers really do legitimately have 8 wide receiver ones? Because that doesn't actually matter who you start. Someone's getting 10 targets in that offense, even if it's not the same guy week in, week out. Somebody is just getting hyper-targeted. And this week, it was Dobbs' turn, and he did a great job with it. Week before, it was, all of a sudden, Dontavian Wicks is a thing. And the week before that, it's Reed. And they move it around, but it's always somebody. They just find the weak spot in the defense. They line one guy up against it, and they just make honey. So, look, I also had Dobbs in mind for a later segment this week because of the same thing.
And I'm pretty sure he plays the highest snap count or snap percentage out of those wide receivers. And he's just on the field so much. I just feel like that gives him that baseline. It's like if he's always on the field, then that's it. He's obviously a chance of getting a target. So, yeah, I just feel like he's very, very trusted by Jordan Love.
Oh, 100%. Mate, you're a tight end here, though. I'm just wondering what you're going to do here. Whether this is going to be a crafty play to also remove somebody from a segment later in the week. If you're going to lean to a player who might have burned you a little bit, what are you going to do here? Because there's a lot of options at tight end this week. Given it's National Tight Ends Week, and we had so many great tight end performances last week.
Yeah, we did. Honestly, like I said, I brought up Hunter Henry having 17 and a bit points, and he was only tight end 6. Unbelievable. This week, I'm just going to take a shot on a matchup. I didn't mind this guy last week, but he in a game where they just didn't throw at all, and then they did a lot more on the ground, so he didn't need to do anything. I want to take another shot at Dalton Schultz up against the Colts, so a 29th against tight end. I just think this game at home, there's going to be one of those ones where it just works, for Stroud a lot better in the passing game. I feel like there's going to be a few teams that go to Lambeau and just struggle to pass. Like, what do you have, 80 yards passing or something like that? And Dalton Schultz was the highest in yards. So I'm thinking if this is a game where Stroud has 200 plus, 250 plus, and if Schultz is getting any kind of work like that, I just feel like there's an opportunity for him. I think he's always a red zone threat. Like I said, the Colts don't seem to defend the tight end position well. Nico Collins is still out. So, Tank Dell hasn't really stepped up into that role. So it's probably...
Tanks don't have hands.
Exactly. We all know that. And Diggs, Diggs is the one, and there's a lot more open for anyone else. And, there's a bit of Mixon and obviously a bit of Tank when he doesn't have hands, so he can't catch. Doesn't matter. Great analysis. Yeah, this is what you get on this podcast. So I just think there's huge opportunity for Dalton Schultz this week.
Mate, that is it. We've got Bo Nix, Raheem Mostert, Romeo Doubs, and Dalton Schultz. The thing to know about this one, Jolio, too, is now we've got 2 days to plan how we're going to get through starts of the week without being able to choose any of these guys as well. As if it wasn't hard enough. So thanks for that. He uses it strategically, Joe. He picks guys sometimes who he's like, what would be great is if I took these guys out of starts of the week. He does it. I know he does.
It's like, if there's someone Matty might, and I know Matty's got the first pick, it's like, I'll take this guy if there's a chance he might. Look, in the end, I'm really trying to pick guys that I've got conviction on, and I feel like they're getting understarted and stuff like that. But, yeah, look, Matty likes to bring the person on and try and box me out from the rebound when it's in starts of the week. So I'd use whatever I can to my advantage too.
That's how hotly contested the trophy is. This trophy that's been living in Taylor's house for the last 2-3 years. It actually even says property of Taylor on the book the statue's holding. But I don't think that means we can't own it. That's the thing.
The only thing I'll accept is if I have to send that out, then I want the Astro League trophy back. So, Joel, please let me have it, mate.
I think it's coming back to its rightful place after 15 years. I feel like I deserve to at least sniff it again.
Our time you had a crack with it too, because we didn't have a trophy back then. In fact,
no, exactly right.
I didn't even know if the league was going to exist 3 years from then. So for it to be now, it'd be good
I feel like it was. Do we have to mail in our picks each week? I feel like it was that long ago.
Draft the first few years, we just had it like auto-populate the draft the first few years because we just didn't We just didn't we didn't know that it was going to become what it is. That's the big thing, I think. Yeah.
Don't worry, a certain car dealership in Canberra paid me good money to do my drafts. I was just doing it during my work hours, so yeah.
I love hearing that.
This is the Aussie NFL Fantasy Show.
Mate, Shark Week can eat my dick.
Are you ready for this jelly, mate?
It's going to be amazing, and I can't wait to just wipe the floor with all you assholes.
This is the Aussie NFL Fantasy Show.
It's just not set up that way.
Well, we've made it through the first show of the week. Joel, how do you feel? Do you need to hold up a doll and show us the
Violated
after the 5-question segment?
No, I managed to get through it semi-unscathed with a semi.
Violation Nation.
I love that. Well, given that it sounds like you're not too traumatized, before it sets in, I really do hope you'll join us for the Sunday show so we can get this start to the week thing done too and really fucking stick it to Taylor.
I hope you don't, so you can give you 0.
If Joel doesn't come back, then Kev will fill in. You know it.
Yeah, no,
that guy's desperate for someone to have a sickie.
I know, that just creates its own problems.
Happy to join in whenever.
You back? Come on! That's what I'm talking about. We will talk strategy for the next day and a half before we come back for it too, just to make sure we're real prepared, yeah?
Yeah.
Get on where we want him. In the meantime, you can find everything that's Aussie Gridiron Network related at, we call it the mothership. It is linktree/Aussie Gridiron Network. It is where you'll find links to all our podcasts. You'll also find the guys from G'day Gridiron. You'll find them there. What they get up to in their spare time is completely up to them, but 100% they are the best Australian-made NFL fantasy analysis on the planet. They do reactions immediately to the week of games, then they come back later in the week too and do their previews. They do the whole G'day AI as well. It's a whole thing. You got to go and find them and check it out. Manjot, formerly of this show and that show, is now doing a whole bunch of Australian gridiron stuff too. I join in with a bit of that too, talking about the ACT League, and as other leagues around the nation go live with that, we are expecting they're going to join us on Aussie Gridiron today. You can find that at Pastry Press NFL and also through that link tree. And of course, our merch store, links to our competitions, it's all there. Linktree/Aussie Gridiron Network. We'll be back on Sunday. Don't forget to catch G'day Gridiron tomorrow. But in the meantime, fellas, hooroo.
Shout out to the gays.
I had another dick joke, but I'll leave it out.
I've made it awkward.
I was in the middle of sipping. I had to do a water spit take. Like I almost spat water all over my car.
I could just hear you giggling the whole time he was talking.
Good old gay gridiron. Yeah, find the guys. A gay gridiron.
Find the gay guy.
Wow.
The Dane gay guys.
Yeah. Well, and we've made too much fun about it. Now I have to leave it in. So, all right, we'll see what happens.
That's what I laughed about too. I was like, I'll make a comment about it because then it has to.
We have to keep it.
You're going to get cancelled now.
If we haven't already.
For the Aussie Gridiron Network, this is the Aussie NFL Fantasy Show.
Yeah, welcome back, Wanker.
I'm not sure if you can see on the Zoom here, my right cheek is quite red. I tried the CM Seaman line on the misses and it didn't go down too well.
Aussie?
I cannot believe you soiled the good name of dog shit by comparing it to the Washington Commanders defense.
With a surname like Connor, what do you expect, mate?
NFL?
Just because everyone's worried about fucking swole Batman and skinny Batman and fucking thick Batman and out of the backfield.
Good on Brian Robinson, though. It's like bloody Nick Cage and Con Air. Just takes a bullet and just keeps walking.
Fantasy.
Mate, I'm hotter than a devil's ball sack.
Oh, mate, I can feel the conviction in your voice.
I've got a bit of a nickname I'd like to propose to Dallas Goddard this year. I think he will be the milk-flavoured milkshake.
This is the Aussie NFL Fantasy Show.
No, that position for them can eat my ass.